So I just had a nice hangout session with Doug Cunnington. Cool dude. In addition to breaking down the brands that he runs, we also talked about not working too hard and building his life around his business, not the other way around. We also talked about what he would do if he were to go back and start all over and do it all again. Enjoy. Man, so you and me connected before. I recorded with you before, but I want to know about your projects. Like, tell me just in general, like tell me all of your brands or that you want to talk about. Like, throw them out, and if you don't mind, I'll probably just jump in and start peppering you with questions about them, what they do, and just kind of dig in. If that's
Perfect.
cool.
Yeah, so I have kind of 2 separate areas. So one was the original that I got started with, which is Niche Site Project, the blog, and I blogged about affiliate marketing, Amazon sites, Amazon affiliates specifically, SEO kind of topics, a little productivity, but that was the main thing. Couple offshoots after a few years. So I started that in 2013. In 17, I started doing YouTube regularly, really just repurposing the content, creating video, which I was consuming a lot of and kind of wanted to get into it. But it just took me a little while to dedicate the time. Video is a different beast, and eventually started putting a lot more time into it there.
Let me
Sure.
go ahead and jump in. Did you start the YouTube just as it sounds like as like a compliment to the niche site project, as a compliment to, like you said, repurpose content? Were you like
Yep.
embedding those videos on that site, or
A little bit repurposing content in that I was moving it from, the written word on the blog to, YouTube. So it wasn't exactly the same, but it was like, that's a good topic. I already
gotcha?
have an outline. I was embedding the videos sometimes, but it largely didn't matter that much. I mean, technically, that's the best practice, right? Link back to your blog post from the video description and then embed the video. But I don't know if it mattered that much. Maybe it did. I'm not sure. So then a few years after that, in 2019, I started the podcast. It's called The Doug Show, but I
Yep.
eventually put the, some keywords in the title as a smart SEO kind of person. So I put in, affiliate marketing and side hustles on The Doug Show.
Yep.
Then the other brand, which is kind of separate, is Mile High Fi. So that is a different podcast, a different YouTube channel. I talk personal finance and financial independence. I have a co-host, Carl Jensen, and he and I partnered and we do that show.
Dude, this is a lot. So I've got them pulled up now for people that are listening. I'm pulling them up, but if people watch this on YouTube, they'll be able to see them. And I've got your YouTube channel here pulled up, which is awesome, man. So, okay, which is the order that you said them in? The order that you basically started them in? So, was Mile High Five? Was that the latest brand that you started?
Correct. Yep. And that
Okay,
was
okay,
2021. Yep. Early
okay.
2021.
What made you want to launch that one? Because you already had you already had the other brands, your personal show. What was the kind of thought process behind launching another podcast?
So I love the podcast format generally.
Okay.
And the other portion of this is like a battle to fight burnout, which I was staying well ahead of. And
Yeah.
I would, I watched other creators, especially on YouTube. I think YouTube has a high level of, people that just get burned out. And, I saw people ahead of me just kind of fizzle out. They would have like, mental health issues and like, hey, I got to take a break. And, I stayed like way far ahead of that. So I did my shit, I made my videos and realized at some point that if I just follow the YouTube analytics, which are excellent, you have metrics on everything, you could end up in a spot where you're creating content that you don't want to, that you don't care about, to get views. Because if you create more videos and it's the right topic that is hitting on your channel, you're going to get more views, you're going to get a positive feedback loop, and you could end up in a very different spot than where you wanted to go. So I was like, I'm not playing that game, I'm going to play my own game, and here's what I'm going to do. And it kills growth, right? I mean, not kills, but it hurts growth. But I was
Yeah.
doing exactly what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and I also tried as much as I could to decouple like monetary rewards and revenue, basically like earning money, from exactly what I was doing. So again, more scattershot approach, but it was exactly what I wanted to do or at least what I thought I wanted to do. And that served pretty well. So the reason why I wanted to start the other show is it was a different topic area. So I moved to Longmont, Colorado, which is where a lot of financial independence bloggers kind of have congregated at this
Yeah.
point. So Pete Adney, Mr. Money Mustache, lives a
Okay.
couple miles away. Carl and Mindy Jensen, they're some of the more popular folks that have gotten started. Carl blogs at 1500 Days, and they live like a couple miles away. And I kind of got mixed up in the community, made friends with him. And Carl and I had a good rapport when he was on my show. So I was actually itching to start another show. I was either going to add another episode per week to my own show. I talked to another
Gotcha.
mutual friend out here, Matt Jevanisi, who he's at moneylab.co
Yep.
currently, but he used to do Listen Money Matters, which was one of the biggest, earliest financial podcasts, like, period. And, you know, I actually pitched him and he was like, nah, I'm not really interested in doing a show right now. Some time went by, Carl was down. So I was like, let's follow it along and see how it goes. So I wanted to start it because it was a different topic area that I was interested in. And it was like using skills that I had before. Plus, I'd be able to like launch it based on the brand that I already had and what Carl already had too, which is great. You know, after you've done this for a few years, you don't have to start at zero like every time.
Good point. So building off current levels you already have to be able to help you launch the new brand. Now that's cool. You said a ton of things, man. I didn't want to interrupt you on, but really neat that you're willing to do exactly what you want to do, not necessarily, you know, putting money at top. Really neat that you were very aware of like staying really far ahead of any chance of getting burnout and being willing to call it pivot or change or stop what you were doing if you thought you were at all getting close. I think that's the reason probably why. Oh, and then third, related to that is the thing that you said about YouTube, not just following what was going to only grow the channel, but which is related to the other two of doing what you wanted to do, because you're totally right, man. It's really funny. I have a video on my list to make coming up that I'm not saying I'm not excited about it. No. I guess I'm not excited about it. I'm not saying I hate it, but yeah, I'm not pumped to make it. I'm fine to make it, but it's definitely one that is the analytics. It is a part of that analytics like game for sure. And so I was kind of smiling when you said that, because I'm like, oh yeah, like that you can totally, and I could get caught, I guess, in that trap if it ramped up and went great. Then I do have that choice to make. Do I keep doing those? Probably not. You know, I probably wouldn't. But yeah, no, that's interesting, man. All right, I want to ask people this question because it's really interesting. How in the heck did you fall into this stuff? Because nobody majored into this. Nobody studied this at college, right? You didn't study how to make a podcast and a niche brand website, YouTube channel at school. So like, how'd you fall into it?
One of the sort of essential gateway podcasts, and it was Smart Passive Income. So I just was browsing around. I kind of got burned out on listening to a specific genre. On like, I'm a home brewer of beer. So I was like listening to all these beer podcasts for like 5 or 6 years. Like I was deep into that scene.
Yeah.
And I was like beer judging and all this other stuff. And I was like, I'm looking for something different. And I didn't have, you know, a lot of people in our industry, they had like some entrepreneurship ideas. They always knew that they were going to have a business. They were trying to just start businesses all the time. I didn't do any of that. So I had a corporate job. I was doing IT project management for about a decade, management consulting kind of stuff. And then just browsing around, saw Smart Passive Income, listened to a few episodes, thought it was a complete scam, listened to a handful more, and then I got completely obsessed and just listened to everything I could. It was a jumping off point for a bunch of other podcasts, blogs, niche websites in general. And that was 2013.
Okay.
And I think it was like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, I started my first site or two. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I made like every mistake in the book, but I was like failing quickly, like testing things. Some stuff was working, some stuff wasn't. And the other key part is I didn't have strong communication skills. So I wasn't a writer. Some people have like, many years of writing, and they minored in English or something. I didn't have that. I had an engineering degree. So like we did like the bare minimum of technical writing that we had to do, but no more. And no public speaking, no other communication skills other than, just being able to get a job, that kind of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of fell into it.
Well, man, it's like literally everyone's story, right? Everyone at some point did some search online, like, hey, I like how to make money from home, how to make money online, how do I start a website, how can I make some money? I'm curious who the first people were in this industry, right? Because smart passive income is obviously old school, right? Pat Flynn is old school. Who was Pat Flynn researching when he wanted to do that? You know what I mean? Like who?
Right.
And then who are those people? Like who? Like someone was a pioneer in this whole
Yeah.
game, you know?
So, well, and I'm curious, what was your start? And I have a
Um,
follow up on that too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think I had a website around 2012 or 13. And you mentioned failing hard, failing fast. I think that's so important, and I still think that that's important. Like today, to continue to like fail fast and just figure out how to do things correct or whatever. So I had a website. I was talking about like real estate stuff that we were doing, and then at some point I was like, this isn't working for me. It's not going to work. I'm not getting any traffic. And I literally kind of my personal brand website, brooksconkle.com, kind of became almost like a business card, like an online like, cool, I just have this site and it has some articles or something. I didn't get reinvigorated, like reignited until honestly COVID. So when the pandemic came, I circled back around and found a few bloggers that were making crazy money. And I was like, holy smokes, people like are still making money at this like online site thing. And then I fell into the whole space and realized that there's tons of all of you guys. Like I'm like, there's thousands of people that are doing this stuff. And I got just crazy excited about it. And that was like 3 years ago that I got back into it, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, and the thing is, like, when you first got started in 2012, 13 or whatever, like me, there were people then that said, "Hey, it's too saturated, like, this is gonna come to an end," which at some point, I'm sure we'll talk about AI and,
Yeah,
like,
I was
it's
just thinking like
yeah, yeah,
that's what we're saying now about AI,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, to jump back about, like, the pioneers, so in the financial independence community, I've been able to meet a lot of people now and actually be able to, call some of these folks my friend. And there's a guy named JD Roth, and he has had a blog since like the late 90s. So he's a little bit
Wow.
older than you and I. He's about 53, 54. And he was like OG blogger. Like it was right when we had the technology, we had, PCs at home that were able to do some things. And he's had a blog, I think, since the very late 90s or the early 2000s. And he started blogging at getrichslowly.org. I think in like 2007, sold it, and he was one of the early sort of pioneers of like straight up blogging. But he comes from like a writing background
Yeah.
versus an affiliate marketing background. And like I said, eventually he sold a site, bought it back. There's a long history to it, which people can go, dig up other podcasts and hear JD tell it over the years. But yeah, he's one of the original folks, I think.
Is JD the guy with the mohawk, or is that a different JD or a different?
That's a different guy. That's J Money.
That's J
J Money.
Money. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. I don't know why you said JD Roth and that's the guy I pictured in my head. I was like, he doesn't seem all that old to me. Anyway, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, J Money. He's a good dude too. I don't know him quite as well, but he's a good dude. We have talked to him on the Mile High Five podcast before.
All right, cool. What are you working on like right now? Are you working on all of these equally? All of these, or do you have your like focus more on certain projects versus others? What does that
Sure.
look like for you? What's the breakdown?
Sure. So before I answer that, it's probably important to note the context and
Okay.
perspective that I have now, because this will sound like scattered and like I'm really lazy. So currently I'm trying to do less work more often than not. And it's been something I've been working on probably for the last 3 or 4 years. Currently I'm working maybe like 15 to 20 hours per week, and I try to take big chunks of time off through the year. And currently I'm focusing more on podcasting and YouTube. And in this short term sort of sprint of work, or just, call it this quarter, I'm looking to produce more YouTube content. And part of that is I've kind of neglected YouTube, and I have, as I mentioned, avoided burnout. But the way I've done it and still published a ton of videos is I've just done long form interviews, kind of like this. And that kind of does bad on YouTube, right? People want to watch like a 5 or 10 minute video. It's hard to get someone to sit down and watch like 60 minutes or 2 hours or something like that. But that's worked for me. And that's what I want to do. I want to, interview my friends. I want to interview, success story folks and just inspiring stories. Maybe
Yep.
just, talk about some random stuff. And that doesn't do that well on YouTube. It's tough to write a headline that like captures it right and to find enough people. They're out there. There are some YouTube channels that do really well with long form, but it's like a little bit of a different animal. So
Yep. Exactly.
as I've tried to work on less, I have realized, okay, I have options on what I could spend my time and energy on. And the other piece to thread in here is I started following, financial independence stuff. And, my wife and I were saving pretty well. And once I started working for myself in 2015, my income grew quite a bit. So we were saving well, kind of lightly followed the financial independence, retire early community fire is what a lot of people call it. And then kind of slowly figured out that like, oh, we don't have to work as hard. Like we're in a pretty good spot. My wife still works. I'm still doing some stuff, but largely I can choose what I want to work on. So with that said, that's why I've been like trying to pare things down. So it is interesting because in the space that I'm in, it's kind of like make money online, and in another way, I've sort of like went against the grain. A lot of my friends and peers are like, I want to make as much money as I possibly can, and I just want to see what I could do. I don't care that much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of do what I'm doing and have more free time.
You caught my attention. So like I think you replied to an email, like one email to me, and you mentioned that in an email, and it caught my attention because you're like, yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. I don't think I'm gonna do that. And so, but I respect that because that's you choosing how you want your life to look first, and then creating your business around that, not the other way around. The bulk of
Right.
everyone in society that has jobs or businesses, I mean, typically, the job definitely defines what what their life is going to look like. But even if people are independent, running their own operations or their own business, a business can definitely swallow you up, right? Like a business can definitely control your life. And it sounds like you have very strategically said, no, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to design my life, and then what I do for work is going to work around how I want my life to look. And that's amazing, man. Like I think it's awesome.
Thanks.
Forget anyone that says, no, dude, you should be working harder and doing this. Like, forget them, man. Let
Yeah.
them design their life the way they want, right?
Yeah. And I don't, or I mean, I try not to judge other people. And again, a lot of these folks that I was talking about, they're my friends, but I'm in this weird spot where I like have the entrepreneur friends, and then I have like the retired early friends. A lot of times, the quote retired early folks, they're doing some kind of thing where they're earning a little bit of money, but it's like a hobby.
Yeah.
So, the retired like title doesn't matter so much. It's like the people are doing whatever they want. So if they want to get a part-time job because they like making coffee and they like the coffee shop scene, like that's cool. Like I don't judge them for that. And then if people are like, I want to make whatever $10 million so I can give it to my kids and blah, 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 that's great too. Although, you're probably stealing some joy away from your kids if you're just giving them a bunch of money because they won't have to solve those problems themselves. But that's another story. I don't have kids, so
Exactly. That's a whole like debate or debacle. Hey, a side note, instead of me asking you at the end right now, if people wanted to find you and reach out and just like connect with you, where do you hang out? Like, where's the best spot for people to do that? Just curious.
yeah, probably I would say like YouTube
Yeah.
is probably one of the best just because, you can subscribe. I do a
Yep.
weekly live stream,
Yeah.
so
Oh
you could
yeah. Yeah.
hop on there
That's right. Yeah. I've been
and,
on there. I've been on there a few times. Yeah. I love it,
oh
man.
yeah,
It's so
cool.
cool. It's so cool you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so that's a good spot. I'm not really on social. I try to stay away, but,
Okay.
YouTube's probably the closest, and then get on the email list. So, like,
Cool.
I have an email list, so it's nichesiteproject.com. click the green button, enter your name and
Cool.
email. I'll send you my templates and systems. I have the project management background, so I kind of put together a bunch of tools and stuff like that. And then I send out emails, like new content that's coming out. And then if you hit reply, like I get all of the emails. So
Yep. Love it. What is something that's really exciting to you right now? I mean, maybe the answer is AI, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't know. What's exciting you? Yeah, let me
right.
not load that question. What's
Okay.
exciting to you in the space right now, just in
Okay.
general?
Well, I'll give you a slightly personal answer, nothing
Mhm.
crazy, but then I'll feed everyone's AI hunger here in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
So, one thing, like today that we're recording this, I actually recorded a podcast episode. So on the Doug Show, I do 2 episodes per week, and I've done that for 4+ years. So I have like
That's
over
awesome.
400
Audio?
and
Is that audio only, or is
audio
that
and
video?
video.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's what you put on YouTube, and it's also okay, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So, and those are great. I've enjoyed it. When I started and I was inspired to do a podcast, I was like, I want to do 2 shows per week, should be fine, and haven't missed a week.
Man,
And then in the last week, even though it was recommended to me a bunch, I didn't read this book, Die with Zero, until last week. Have you read this
I
already?
have heard of that book. I think I
Okay.
read it a while back. I need to read it again. Interesting
Okay.
concept. It's interesting. I hadn't thought that way.
Okay.
But okay.
So I was like, I can I'll just do 1 show per week, right? So I
Okay.
I recorded an episode today where I was like, I'm gonna go to 1 show per week and see how it goes. So I'm excited about that because I like reclaimed some time and then I realized, I made a great commitment. Obviously, I could follow through. I've published like over 430 some odd episodes. Like it's not like I'm lazy. It's just like, oh, I could do something else with the time. Maybe it's some kind of work. Maybe it's just me going for a walk outside or taking a nap. It doesn't matter, but it's like maybe I can get more value from the time. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that.
That is awesome. So again, that goes to that lifestyle, and it changed even your thinking further by reading that book, Die with Zero. Let me ask this about the podcast, or which is also YouTube or whatever. Do those things have a long shelf life? Are people going way back? So now that you have a catalog of like 400 plus, let's call them episodes, even though they're video and audio, if you just stop publishing, what do you think would happen? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I think I think it would probably sort of stabilize a little bit for a
Mhm.
while, and I think it would kind of trail off. So I don't get a ton of new listeners, but when people, find the show, audio or video, a lot of times they will go back. Now the tough
Yeah,
thing, when I would find a show back in the day, I would get obsessed in like Smart Passive Income or other shows.
and go back.
That was like
And
10 years ago though.
yeah,
So now there's like 500 episodes in Pat's catalog, or like I have 400 and whatever episodes. So it's a bit much now. It's a little like you have to compete a little bit harder. And some people do download like all the episodes, like they'll go back because I still get downloads on some of the very early episodes.
yeah.
And, it's the long tail, like it still trickles in. But I think if I just stopped, it would kind of trail off because there's some shows that I think have good word of mouth. Maybe they're sort of not propped up, but they're supported by like a community or a closely related forum or something
Right.
where it's such a good show, people share it and reference it. I don't know if mine fits in that area generally.
Got you. So, and maybe you hadn't thought this far ahead, or it doesn't matter. But I mean, fast forward 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if you're like, I just don't feel like recording anymore. Do you think you'd try to adjust the format or do something different, or would you just let it be done? Have you thought about that?
Yeah. I would potentially, if I was still enjoying it, I would adjust the format. And part of, I said it's called the Doug Show. I could I could
That's
shift
right.
to whatever I want.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
it's not as strong at like branding and like if people show up, they don't know exactly what it is, but it's my it's my show.
that's right.
And if I want to shift and I'm like, now this is a travel podcast, a handful of people are going to stick around. So yeah, so I named it that way intentionally, even though it wasn't like the best name from a branding perspective. So I potentially would, you know, change the format or record whenever I want to when I was inspired or whatever.
Yeah. On one hand, you're saying it's not the best, branding for a specific arena, and I get that. But on the other hand, you're really smart about branding it because you were thinking really far in advance, saying, "Well, hey, if I want to pivot and adjust what I talk about, it gives you the ultimate flexibility."
Right.
That's cool, man. Okay, all right. So that was personal, and I like that excites you. That's really neat. All right, so let's whet the appetite to people with some AI. What's
Okay.
exciting you out there, just in general, or not exciting you? Maybe
Yeah.
you're like, I'm not excited at all.
So I shrugged off the AI tools for a while and I tested them out, but they just weren't delivering what the promise was. And ChatGPT came out the end of 2022, and it took me a little while to like get my head around that. But now I am actually excited because I think there's been enough iterations. The tool is a lot more mature. And in my space, a lot of people are, just how can I write content and rank in Google, which I don't think that's going to be a long-term solution. I don't even know if it's going to be a short-term solution. However, if you use something like ChatGPT as a tool to help you do research or really is kind of like a general purpose AI virtual assistant, I think you could save a lot of time and maybe come up with like better ideas or refine your ideas to be better. So, quick example, I'm doing podcasts and YouTube often, and maybe I know what show or what the topic should be for a show. And I kind of have an idea what I want, but I can ask for, a general outline for a given topic and then ask for more detail. And I'm not going to use all of it, but it's probably 80 to 90% usable. And then I could put in my own ideas. I'm a slow typer, so just having that typed out is a good time saving measure. And I
Sure.
could put in my, handful of ideas. And I think, and I haven't even talked about what you can do as far as getting the tools to code for you, some Perl or something like that, or JavaScript or whatever you need. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So I am excited. And that is one of the reasons why I was interested again in creating some YouTube videos on given topics. And, earlier in the conversation, we mentioned like potentially you were going to do a video on a topic that you were like, and I
Yeah.
have like, 30 of those ideas. And I was like, oh, I need to get in there and grind and do those videos. But I'm like, I don't care that much.
Yeah.
So I just didn't do it. But now I have a bunch of post-it notes on my desk where I'm like, I'm excited to do that video. Like I'm thinking about it. I want to show people like it's things that I thought up on my own. And, of course we all have like the places where we get the ideas from
Sure.
and then marinate, combine them with other ideas, and then you end up with like, oh, this is a little different application than what other people were doing. So I'm pretty pumped about the AI tools. Now, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm all in this stuff, just like trying to be in the know and what's going on and what's happening. I just watched this morning, I guess, an interview with the CEO of Microsoft, kind of talking about like, their integration with, with the chat with Bing. And he literally, to quote him, he literally said, "Yes, Google is the 800-pound gorilla, but we look forward to making them like dance a little bit." And so I don't know. I was kind of excited about that. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." He also very very clearly this is what he said, but he very clearly stated that like, hey. The goal is to increase basically revenue for everyone. He was like for publishers, for advertisers, and to make search easier and to get people off to those, the publisher information. I kind of wonder, like kind of peppered in what he said, I kind of wonder if they're gonna somehow track where they got the information from and then reward that publisher somehow. I don't know. Like it actually opened my mind though to that being a potential of the future. People like literally in the last 24, 48 hours kind of raised a storm about Google's new announcement. And, I saw some people saying, hey, if this is how they're going to put out their product and, with AI chat, they're like, I'll be the first one to file a lawsuit. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really interesting. I saw some people talking about that. I'm like, man, this is going to be an interesting road over the next like 12 months, like how all this stuff rolls out, how people get credit, like, copyright issues and all that stuff.
Right.
So like that's just AI in general. I'm just kind of excited about like what's happening. You know, I have to remind myself that I've been using, I guess, AI for a long time, right? Like, I mean, I've used Grammarly for some time. I mean, we've all probably been using Microsoft Word with the little squiggly lines that helped us auto correct some spelling and stuff. Like we've been technically using this stuff for a while. I think now it just gets crazy, right? With people being able to hit a button and spit out some content. But for me specifically, I'm kind of with you. Like I'm using it definitely as like a little sidekick marketing person to my side. I'm like, Chat GPT is my sidekick robot. And hey, help me come up with more creative title ideas. This is what I'm doing. Hey, you know, maybe some outline stuff, maybe compress some stuff down and simplify some things. And I'm also trying to just have a habit of even using it, because you know you have to remember to, hey, use that sidekick, right? Like you may not even think to do that.
Yeah.
And one more thought is that I also have to remind myself that we're in this like top small percent of people that are like in this game with tools, and that the bulk of the general public isn't changing a thing of how they operate. Now, what does all that mean for us and our online brands and ranking stuff? I don't know, exactly, but I'm definitely trying to be in the mix and be in the know. And you said you said something earlier. It was kind of interesting. I think you said it was something about people in the future, like writing content and just ranking in Google. I think you were alluding to, you thought that would, or you were saying that would be different in the future or something. Do you recall what you were saying?
Oh, I think I was just saying, like, I don't think AI content is going to rank very well long term.
Got you.
I think we'll see it fall apart quick, right? So Bing will have Chat GPT, Google's rolling out their stuff quickly. So, if the search engines are publishing their own AI content on
Yeah.
the page, like, then ours is not going to work that well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Like you were saying, the copyright issues that we'll run into, and or that Google or Bing may run into. And
Yeah.
the thing is, I would love to see like a very big disruption from Google. Like it would be fantastic because, I mean, usually interesting things happen when there's a big disruptive thing, which that's what we're seeing. Google's big, right? And they have AI and they have a ton of data, but there could be issues with the lawsuits, right? And the other thing is, like, if Google stops sending us traffic, right? And right, let's say they stop sending us traffic, we would just like say no to the robot, right? Like we'd no index if we're not getting traffic from them anyway. I'm playing this out on like a very longer timeline, but imagine
Right.
not getting traffic from Google anymore. You just say, hey, don't index me. You can't use my content anymore for your AI, for your chatbot. So then they don't have the data anymore. So if we shut them off from the data, that's different.
If they had the data and like Chat GPT that's all up to like 2021, and they've already scraped it, if you will, I wonder what happens then. And maybe that's where some of these lawsuits come in. Maybe.
Potentially. Yeah.
Where people were like, hey man, I told you can't use that, and you're using my content. I don't know how that gets proved and how this plays out, but I know this is gonna happen, right? Like there's gonna be these weird battles and lawsuits, and I'm interested. I really am, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty nuts. But like I said, I would love to see some kind of disruption, with Google rolling out the horrible algorithm updates over the last couple of years, where you get like these big swings, and they're like, oh, we don't want you to publish anything if you're trying to do it for SEO. It's like, what the can we cuss here? Like, why are we even doing any, like, do you just want to publish and no one come to your site? Like, of course you're doing it to get traffic. Very few people are doing it as a hobby just to publish.
Right. It's been very interesting to see the two sides of Google having those chats. Don't do this, but then plenty of them allowing
Right.
that to happen, I guess, is just in the general sense. I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm totally with you. All right, let me switch gears real quick. What are some are there any tools? Are there any tools that you use on day to day, week to week, whatever, with you, yourself, your team, that you're just like, man, I can't live without these? Like, what pops out as just being your favorite tools that you guys are using?
Right. So I think I will preface this and say I don't think the tools matters that much, but I can tell you what I'm using. So
Sure.
there's alternatives to all of these, and the alternatives are just fine. So Gmail is where I funnel all of my email accounts. So it's just in one inbox and I don't have to run around too much. And the Google Cloud products. So it's like Sheets and Docs and whatever. Those are great to collaborate with. And then Trello. So I do, all of my content management on Trello. I used Asana for a little while, but kind of got away from it, and I really like the Trello board style, the Kanban style. And it does a good job. It's easy to use. I can show my VAs how to use it in 10 minutes or so, or watch a video. And I think that's about it. Everything else is just, it's fine, but I don't need too much. I like a pretty lean, very simple process.
Lean is good, man. Simple is good. And I totally agree with you. Tools don't matter. If someone else is using something else, stay with that. Don't like jump ship and try to use something else or whatever. But I just find it interesting to just kind of learn what other people's workflows, kind of look like, and kind of what stack they're working with. And who knows, maybe I'll hear of some tool or that we haven't heard of or something like that. So
Yeah. I have some friends that are, they have used some of the newer tools. So like once I locked in on Trello, I was like, this does the job. I don't have any specific pain points or problems that make me think I need to switch away. But I know there's some other like newer products where people are like, this workflow is great, blah, blah, blah. And they're, I don't even know the names of them, but I know that there's more to it. And I'm like, I don't have that problem. And part of it is, I mean, I think I was influenced a lot by Tim Ferriss, and I've heard him mention a lot on his show. Like he wants a lean team. I think he may have like one full-time person and then a couple VAs. And I'm like, I don't really want more than that generally.
Actually, which leads me, I was kind of curious I'm not sure if I know what your team looks like. Yeah. So like, do you have people working with you, and like, what does that look like, and how are you kind of structured with what you do in your projects?
I have one virtual assistant, kind of an executive assistant. So
Okay.
she helps. I've like trained her over the years in a few different areas. So she does help with like inbox management, podcast production, YouTube production, as far as any of the admin, scheduling, setting up the description, thumbnails, that kind of stuff. And then I
Okay.
have a video editor, and I've worked with that video editor for 5-6 years at this point, out of
Nice.
the Ukraine. And she's great. Found her on Upwork, found my executive assistant on Upwork as well.
Nice.
Currently, right now, I have one other writer out of Montenegro that I thought I was going to need some additional content and some more help in various areas, but looks like I won't need her as much potentially. So I'm kind of like in a spot where I'm not sure if I'll have 3 people or just 2, but me and 2 other people that work like 5 to 10 hours a week, basically.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, I love it. And that's like perfect for what you're doing and your business. I mean, that's like exactly what you need. If you were to rewind back, so let's rewind back to the beginning of when you started. So the first site, so niche site project, or I guess that was kind of the first one. Would you do things differently? Like knowing what you know now, do you think you would operate and grow differently? Or do you think you would do it exactly the way you have?
Yeah, good question. So the first couple sites that I created were affiliate or niche sites. So in both cases, I'll tell you what I would have done. So I would do things differently. So for some of the early sites that I worked on that were, pure affiliate sites, I would have worked on them harder and longer and just stuck with those. So as we get started, we get a little excited, and maybe you buy like 15 different domains because you think you're going to do
That's
something with
it.
all of them.
That's it.
And
Just 15. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah. I
what
got you.
everyone does. It's like
100%.
you can't help it. And
Yep.
then so I would have just stuck with like the 1 or 2 sites. And back in those days, like, from the people I was learning from, and probably the people that you were following back then too, it was what we call like gray hat link building. So it's a little riskier. Google doesn't like it. It's more susceptible to algorithm updates and penalties. And that's what everyone was doing, Pat Flynn included. And like, all the people that you followed, like that was, we learned from each other, and they were doing weird link building things that Google didn't like. And then generally we've kind of cleaned up. But the point being, if I would have stuck with just like one of those sites that was doing pretty well, I would have doubled down in a few areas that I know continued to work through the years, obviously. Like now I know more, and I just would have gone harder with that. The other thing, and I'm not sure if I would have gone podcast or YouTube, but for Niche Site Project, eventually I did get around to starting a podcast and YouTube. I'm not sure which one I would have like leaned into, but if I would have started, let's say the YouTube channel like 2 years earlier, I had an interest in doing it. I actually have like, I think one of my first live streams was like 2014, which I think is still out there. And it was just a little bit harder back then, but I could imagine if I started and I was producing videos and really went in, doubled down like I did in 2017. If I did that in 2015, there's a good chance I'd be far ahead of the curve and I would have been able to ride a little bit of a wave as popularity and these topics go up and down. Like there was a nice period where I probably could have, I don't know, the channel maybe could be like 100K bigger, like, many times bigger just from being out there a little bit earlier.
Yeah, interesting answer. I feel like a lot of us could see that, like in ourselves, right? Oh, if I had put in the same effort earlier, basically, is right.
Right.
You're basically saying more consistent effort earlier in things that you didn't know at the time could be big, but they would have been big or bigger or
Right.
whatever if you did. No, that's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the tough. And I don't think about it too much because obviously I can't do anything about it now.
Yeah,
But and in high, I mean, like I was telling you, I'm excited about like doing less. So there's some piece where I'm like, if I would have started a little sooner, maybe I'd be like the channel would be bigger, which is just like a vanity metric largely. But it does, I mean, once you hit certain thresholds, so if people don't know, like once you hit, I think maybe like 10,000 subscribers, like more advertisers will try to find, like get to you to do brand deals. And I suspect, when you get over 50 and over 100,000, like other opportunities show up. Most of them are garbage, but you can find ones that work for you if you have those numbers.
yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Is there something that when you hop on and chat with someone for an interview, is there something that you wished someone would ask you, but they don't, or they haven't?
Let's see. So I try like a politician, I try to force whatever it is that I want to talk about into the conversation. So it's interesting in the sort of make money online area, niche site area, people don't talk too much about the financial piece. So we figured out how to make some money. You're accumulating money. What do you do with it? So like luckily we kind of had that problem solved. So I was happy to pull money off the table and put it into other investments. And that was cool. That worked out well for us. And then on the other side, when I'm talking to the personal finance and financial independence crew, they often don't ask very much about the side hustle side. Sometimes they do. So it's just like kind of a blind spot. These two groups have a lot of similar values,
Yeah.
but a lot of times they're in opposition of each other. Like they kind of make fun of each other. Like the entrepreneurs are like, wow, the frugal fire people, which not everyone's frugal, but they're like, oh, those people, they're like eating rice and beans and they like live in a shack and they never do anything fun, right? And then the fire people are like, oh, those entrepreneurs are like wasting money on this and that. But really it's the same values. And if you look at the entrepreneurs when they're bootstrapping, they are saving money so they can reinvest in their business. Like it's the same thing, but like they're not friends a lot of times. There's a couple overlap, but a lot of times it's just opposition.
Interesting. Do you think is there a good way to meld the two together? I mean, is that, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
or should they just stay separate and just it is what it is? I don't
I
know.
th I think when people I think it's conversations like this. So there's a handful of us that kind of bridge the gap that have interest in both areas and just making other folks aware. It's like, oh yeah, like it's actually the same value. It's just applied differently and implemented in a different way. Maybe the framing and the context is a little different, but like largely it's the same thing. So the other part is I think once you get in the advanced stages of either one of those areas, you're not as dogmatic about the ideas. So you're like, oh yeah, I get that. And you're open to it. But when you're a beginner, you're like, oh, like those people suck and those, those other people suck. And it's really weird. People get pretty heated about it. And I mean, really, we're all just trying to have fun, do our best, right?
Yeah, it's a good point what you said about being a beginner, because I've found myself doing that too. As things start working or whatever, I become a little bit more lax about some of the rules that I was a bit more rigid on.
Totally.
So I think that's related probably to exactly what you're talking about. It's like, I don't know, you just kind of become a little bit more. I don't know. I'm trying to be a little bit more fluid in all of that. So
Yeah. And it might be the Dunning-Kruger effect. Have you heard that? You know that?
yes,
Okay.
yes, heard that. What's the definition? I should know it, but I've definitely heard it.
So people fact check me on this, but basically, people that are beginners, they get a little bit of knowledge and they think they're really knowledgeable, and
Yeah.
but they're really maybe intermediate, but they're beginners, right? And they're overconfident about what they know. And then as you become an expert, then you don't give yourself enough credit for how much of an expert you are, and you kind of second guess and you're not as confident on your knowledge. And it's because, right, as you become an expert, you realize how much you don't know, even though you may know like a vast amount about a specific topic area, but there's so much more and there's so much nuance. So beginners are overconfident, experts are underconfident.
Yes, well said. That's really good. That's a perfect spot. That's a perfect spot to leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. If you're watching this, hang out. You can watch this video next. Doug, enjoyed it, man. Hang around for a few minutes. We'll chat a few seconds afterwards, and see you guys soon.